In chat, I'm going over the assignment 1A, which is basically reproducing a map of San Francisco in Adobe Illustrator. Now, you may be thinking, why in the world would you do that? So having done graphic design for about 20 years, I found that it's helpful to know how to do that, because there are invitations where you have to include maps. Sometimes there are articles or stories where maps need to be drawn and illustrated, and a lot of times just capturing that map from Google Maps or another online map site is not good enough, because the resolution is poor, and then secondly, if you try to enlarge it, it doesn't work. Well, we're going to be working in Illustrator, and we're going to use a screen capture of a map of San Francisco, so when you enlarge it, it works fine, because Illustrator enlarges indefinitely. So I'm going to get going by, let's see, why don't we go over the instructions first of all. Okay. So here they are, and it is to hide these. Let's see, I'm just gonna frame it just a little bit easier to see. Okay. Yeah, reproduce a map of San Francisco using the provided JPEG that I have in Canvas. The map should fill an 8.5 by 11 page without distorting the original image. In other words, don't stretch it out one way or another. Just have it fill naturally and proportionately to 8.5 or 11, or 11 by 8.5. And include the following: the entire landscape, the water, ship routes, all yellow streets, 10 to 20 white streets, highways, and 20 yellow street names. There's a few things you'll definitely need to be organized, and you'll need to use layers to make this happen. Okay, so I'm just gonna run through this and show you how I would attack this. I may not complete it, but I'll get to a point where you'll see me do it and go, oh, okay, I don't need to see anymore. Alright, so I'm in Illustrator. I'm going to choose a new file, and I'm going to pick a 8.5 by 11. I'm going to go horizontal, because I believe that's the size, and I'm going to choose Create. Here it is. I'm going to drag in my San Francisco map image. Okay. Oh, it's probably a little more vertical, so I'm going to change that. Shortcut is Shift Command O on a Mac, or Shift Control O on a PC. You can do it on the toolbar by choosing this artboard tool, and then changing it from letter to, or this portrait mode. And oops, didn't want to do that. I'm just going to resize it here. To that. Okay. Now it's important to talk about layers. Here's my layers. This is my map layer. And I'm going to add a few layers. I may delete some, but that's important to have some layers. My first one is going to be water, and then my next one will be land, and then I'll have parks, and we'll do just parks. And let's zoom in a little closer just to take a look at. Now we may have to be kind of fluid here. Notice that the white street sometimes covers the gold, meaning if a highway goes under a surface street, and then here you can see a highway going over, like an overpass of a main surface street. So the yellows, I think, are more main surface streets, and the white are more less of a main street, more less traffic-y type of street. These are kind of an industrial area here, or a park, so that's what when I talk about, come on, parks, I'm also going to include industrial. And it can look like that the gold is going over everything, but it's not. Sometimes streets cross over the highway, so we're going to have to be a little bit creative with that. But I am going to put generally everything on, like I'm going to do highway, and then I'll do yellow streets, and then I'll do white streets. And then I'm going to use this one for labels. Okay. So I'm going to lock up this map so I can't move it around anymore. And I'm going to start with the water. So I'll just click on that. So I'm drawing on the water layer. And this will be an easy one because all I'm going to do is go grab a rectangle and make a giant rectangle over the whole thing. I'm going to sample this blue here. I'm going to grab the eyedropper, and with this rectangle selected, I'll just grab that blue. Okay, so now we have, we've flooded San Francisco essentially, right? It's all blue. But obviously we can't see what we're doing, but it is it's a bottom layer, so what I'm going to do is just hide that, and then we'll do our land. So notice the land is kind of this putty color back here, right? And it's outlined with a dark gray dashed line. Well, I'm not going to pick that at the very beginning here. But I am going to begin just making, and I'm using the pen tool here. And notice that it is, Illustrator is using the last color I've selected, which is the blue. So it's using blue for all my land, and it's not exactly what I want, but it'll work to a certain point. The other thing I want to point out is that as Illustrator draws, has a fill to it, so sometimes it makes it difficult to see what I'm drawing. So it's going to be important for me to get rid of this fill. And I'm going to move that down here so maybe I can have a little more real estate. I have a small window I'm dealing with here. With that selected, I'm just going to change the fill to a none, and I'll change the stroke to like red so I can see it really nicely, and I'll make it smaller. Okay. So now I'm drawing with the red stroke, and I can go in with my direct selection tool. I mean, I didn't hit all of these on the money, so I can go in and move some of these anchor points so they match up better with the land. And here, like, I would probably add one. So I'll use the pen tool, and you can see if I'm mousing over a existing line, I get a plus. That will allow me to add an anchor point. So things with me. Now, I did all of this in one group, so right now, just to let you know, it's all one line. So if I click on it once, the whole thing lights up, right? If I move it, the whole thing moves. What you don't want is multiple lines making up your whole shape, because they're just not going to connect or fill correctly. So I'm going to use the pen tool to continue my line, but I'm going to make sure that when I continue it, I'm going to click, or not click, but mouse over an end, and you can see my cursor have a little slash next to it. That means it's going to continue the line that I've created. If you don't see that slash, you want to move it until you see that slash, and that's going to be important. So I'm holding down the space bar, which temporarily takes it to the hand tool, and I'm just going to kind of pretend that these words and everything else is not there. I'm just outlining right over everything, and in the end it will go under it, right? Because this is near the very bottom of our art. And incidentally, oops, sorry about that, I accidentally, okay. If you can see I'm using the pen tool because I have this pen icon. Not only is it selected over here, but my whole mouse looks like a pen nib. But let's say I don't like that, and it kind of gets in the way, and it does for me because it's kind of difficult to know where to click. However, if I use the cap locks, it turns into a crosshair, which I like using a lot better in this case. It just works a little better. And yeah, there's some places I need to kind of make up around here. It's not terribly clear about what the heck is going on. It's not a simple land shape, is it? There's a lot happening. I'm going to maybe simplify this just a little bit in here, since I can't see what is going on with the big Embarcadero over the top. But I have used maps in a lot of projects, and it really is helpful to know Illustrator well enough so you can knock out these maps pretty easily. Yeah, so that's pretty important. Okay, I can see that it's rounding. That means we're getting near. And again, this is for the advanced students, so this is the 2B class. Hopefully you guys know Illustrator well enough to kind of follow this tutorial. I'm not explaining each bit I'm doing, nor am I explaining the tool, because I'm assuming that you have enough experience with the tool to follow along. And I'm in the pen tool, and I'm just clicking on all my corners. It's going okay. This looks like a mess in here. I'm going to kind of skip those little bits there. Same thing with those. to back up to show you where we're at. We've done all that, and we don't have much to do here, so we're getting close. Okay, so I have this little island, and this very bizarre shaped island. And you can see on these ones that look like just a spike, I am putting a little 2 points at the end. So there's an out, you know, a shape going out and a shape returning. And there's a reason why I'm doing that. Kind of important. Now here's where we're getting into a curve, so I'm just going to click and drag. This is a big curve right here. Don't know what that is. Looks like Gas House Cove. Kind of cool in a way, but okay. And yeah, I am gonna miss that little bit there. We're at Fort Mason. Okay, we're nearing the end of this landmass. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just kind of take it outside of the drawing area, outside of our artboard. And I'm going to hold down Shift and take it down to here, and then hold down Shift. And what that does is it keeps it straight, and then I'll connect it. Now this is really important here. When you're making a complete shape, remember that slash that we looked for when we tried to connect like an existing line, and we wanted to draw and continue that. We had a little slash next to our cursor. Well, there's another symbol here. When we're trying to connect a shape, end a shape, we want to end it at the beginning point. We have a little circle that pops up, which is Illustrator's way of saying, hey, this is going to connect a shape, and that's exactly what we want. So now, with that connected, I'm going and selected. I'm going to use the eyedropper and click on the shape to fill this with the putty, and which is great, did it. Now I'm going to work on, let's see, I'm just going to pull it off here, just so we can I'm going to work on the stroke. So the stroke color is going to be a gray. So it'll probably be something like that. Let's see how that looks. It's about right. Might be a little bit darker. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so the next bit is it needs to be dashed. And what we're going to do for dashing is we'll go up to Window and then down to Stroke, or Stroke Palette. Oh, it's all the way over here. Okay. And it looks like it might be about that same width, maybe 1. We have to change that. But in the stroke palette, we're going to click dashed, and we can control the dash and the gap. So right now the dash seems a little long. I'm going to take that down to 8, and then the gap maybe 4. And then if we just put in 2, it's going to repeat that over and over. And I might move that up to 10. And the gap to maybe 5. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. And then I'm gonna, I'll just match this back up, because I had to drag it out of the way so I could see what the stroke looked like. Yeah, Great. Okay, so Control 0, kind of see where we're at. I'm going to put that stroke just on here because we'll use that again. So just to kind of make me go, okay, where am I? Yeah, that's looking good. So far, so good. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to go into my layers and hide land and water. And then I'm going to do the industrial parks. Now you can notice that some of them are part of the land mass, especially this one over here, which could be a pain because that means we'd have to retrace the whole thing to get the green to fit this curve. So here's how I'm going to do that. I'm going to grab my land mass and I'm going to copy and paste it on a new level. So I'll copy it and then edit, paste in front. And now I have two of them, right? And the one that's highlighted is on land. I'm going to move it up to parks. And then I'm going to hide the one on land. You can kind of see in this preview I have two of those now. So to make it less confusing, I'm going to get rid of my fill and then change my stroke to something a little bit easier to see, and then kind of get rid of that dash. Okay. All right, so now I'm ready to make these parks, especially the parks in industrial areas that touch the coast, I guess you'd call it. Let's do an easy one down here. Make sure I'm on the parks and industrial area and use the pen tool. And what I'll do is I'll just draw this kind of off so it sticks out. And this is kind of a strange one. And I'm going to zoom in and fix this because that's not exactly right. So when you only have one point at the end of like say the piers, you have this big long spike, and I didn't want that. So adding another one kind of controls that a bit, and that was the idea. Yeah. Okay, so here's one of our parks. I'm going to use the eyedropper and make this green. Great. See if there's any. Okay, so here's an industrial area down here, and then another deal here. So we'll just that's industrial. So I'm going to eyedropper that, and then we'll make another one here. And I'm just going to the pen tool real quick. And there's another park, and I'm going to eyedropper my green. And here's another park that's touching the edge. So okay, and I think that was a park, yeah. Okay, we're doing great. Checking closely for parks or industrial type sites. At least that's what I'm calling them. I'm hoping that's what they are. Okay, so this I'm just gonna assume this whole thing is a green park, so notice that I'm keeping the edge of the park on the street so it will be covered up. Yeah. to here. All right. So now that we have these parks in place, what we'll do is we're going to select all the parks and industrial sites we've created. And I'm crossing my fingers this is going to work. What we want to do is make sure that this landmass that we just made red is on the very top of everything. So what I did is I did Command-Shift right bracket, or that's on a Mac. On a PC you can do Control-Shift right bracket. So I'm going to select the landmass and then those parks and industrial areas that we have just created. And then what we can do is, I think a good one would be to use our shape builder. So the shape builder has a plus next to the cursor, and that means it's going to add things together. What we want to do is remove all of this. So I'm going to hold down Option on a Mac or Alt on a PC to delete that. Oops. And spacebar to move around. Okay. Hopefully that's making sense. That was, again, shape builder tool, and I held down Alt or Option. All of those needed to be selected. Yeah, so hopefully that makes sense. Then I'm going to delete this top shape here because we don't need that anymore. And now like this, we didn't have to redraw it, and it fits it exactly. Okay. So what, I'm going to add another layer in here, and that's going to be land outline. So I'm going to grab this land outline, and I'm going to do that again. What we did last time is copy and paste in front, and then I'm going to move that up to my land outline layer. When I have something selected, it lights up, tells me what layer it's on, and to move that to another layer, I'm going to grab that dot and drag it up to whatever layer I want it on. Now, so this does have the outline, and that's great. I'm going to remove the fill so we can see everything underneath it, and we get that nice clear outline, which is exactly what we want. Let's just turn these on so we can kind of see where we're at. So, this making sense so far? One thing we can do is select our land on the land layer and get rid of the stroke on that, because what we have essentially is an outline of the land on the land outlined layer, because we duplicated that, moved it up, and then removed the fill on that. So I'm going to, just to make things clear, I'm going to select the land on the land layer and then remove the stroke on it. So we only have one thing that shows stroke. Okay. Okay. Back to instructions. Where are we now? So we did parks, and now we now want a layer that shows the shipping routes. Okay. Shipping routes. So what we'll do is hide our water. And I think I'm going to put the shipping routes right above water. Yeah. Okay. So our shipping routes are basically lines with the pen tool, and then we'll put a dash to them in a certain color. So make sure I'm on the right layer, and we'll just start with one here. And it's, remember, it's kind of keeping the attributes from the last item I selected, which is the land. So I'm going to change that. So I'm in properties right now, and I'm changing the fill to none, and I'm changing the stroke to this blue. And if I wanted to, I could go grab like the eyedropper and snag that blue. Now it went onto the fill, which isn't an issue, because what I could do is go up to swatches, and I'll just move that to here. So now I have a swatch for that blue color, and I'm going to get rid of the fill, and then I'll change my stroke to that blue. So far so good. You know what I might do is change it to magenta and make sure my the gaps match real quick, so I can kind of see what I'm doing. So we'll make this dashed, and I might make this like a 6 and 3. That looks about right. It might be 5 and 2. No, 5 and 3. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is change that to, you know what, I might leave it and draw all of them like this, and then we'll just select them all and change them to blue. So here I am. Oops, didn't mean to connect those. Okay. Great. But I'm going to bend that just a bit. Now, if you're wondering how I did that, I'll just do it on this one. So if I want to alter this curve, I'm in the pen tool. I'm going to hold down Option on a Mac or Alt on a PC, and I get this flying V as the tool. And if I go over a selected or unselected curve, I get this kind of a bent line tool, which will allow me to adjust that curve and to move it around a little bit. So that's really, really helpful. So I'm just going to try to follow this best I can. And I may just continue this up, because that's where my picture is going to end. My water will end up there. Okay, and I have one right there. I have one here. Some of these may be fairies, or maybe actual shipping routes. I'm a little bit, it's kind of new to me. I have no idea what that is. Okay, so you can see that opened up a little too much. So I'm going to select that whole line, and then actually I'm going to grab that point and that point, and then I'll just move this over to there. Okay, doing great. Pen tool. You know what, this is like snapping to a grid or something. Let's see if I can, yeah, snap to grid. Oh, now it's really snapping to a grid. Yeah, I don't want that. Yeah, you can't see it, but if you go to view, you're going to see at the bottom of this little drop-down menu, like snap to grid, snap to pixel, snap to point, snap to glyph. You want to make sure all those are unchecked, or it's going to be kind of a nightmare for you. some bunch of parallel type lines here. Oops, I guess I clicked the land. Oops. Oh, I'm in InDesign. Okay, and say there. I'm going to eyedropper that so it has those attributes. Great. I hope everyone's doing okay. I'm just going to kind of pick up right here. Yeah. And yeah, I'm just going to go straight up to there. And I'll kind of pick up right here. And I might just go straight out like that. And because these are dashed, I don't need to tuck them under the land. Right? Okay. And we'll get a few. Here, great. Yeah, and I guess my point about the dashed is that I mean, dashed by nature are kind of not connecting, so it's okay not to connect, I think. Okay. Yeah, that's about right. That needs to grab this, move it over to the right a little bit. Man, it sure feels like it's snapping, doesn't it? Okay, maybe I was just too far away. I don't know. Okay, I think I have one more line in here I need to get in. Looking about right. So now here's where the magic kind of happens. So if we want to select all these lines, they're all on the same, oops, they got on the land layer. That's okay. What we're going to do is select one, and then we'll choose select same appearance. And it will select all those lines. And then we're going to make sure they're on the correct layer, and you can see I have some on the shipping routes and some on the land, so I'm going to grab everything on the land and move it down to the shipping routes. You can see they all turned this dark green, and then now that they're all selected, I'm going to move that to the right color. Okay, so those are our shipping routes. Slowly building, right? Slowly building. Okay, so, and we have the parks and we have the land outline. Highways are next. Okay. So, I am just going to I'm trying to center these highways in the orange so I can make them thicker and then outline them. What I'll do is outline them in the dark orange so they'll look correct. And I'm going to just pick one of these directions. So here, so I have to put a slash here and pull out. And clicking and dragging to make that curve. Click and drag. Okay. And then kind of comes to an abrupt and kind of goes out this way, doesn't it? Okay. And I'm going to use more of a solid line on this. And I'm going to increase that as well. Okay, looks great. I'm going to change that to something different, like there's no magenta on here, and that's what I want, something that'll stand out. So go to the pen tool, and this is kind of where it, oops, starts adding right here. Okay. Okay. Whoops. Let's darn small window here. Okay. It's working well, and I'm just going to end it there because now I have other highways that will cover that. So I'm going to start a highway here, and yep, looking great. And that ends right there. And we'll just put a curve on it so it kind of rounds that corner and stops. This seems to begin here, and yeah, okay. Okay, and then we're going to merge that into here somehow. Okay, so that's kind of highways, maybe one more on this, the 280 here. Okay. And great, we're going to end it right here. Okay, and then we'll do something similar, and it might just duplicate that up to that spot. Yeah, like that, and then we'll move that over a bit, and this over a bit, and then end it here, but now we have okay. Great. Okay, so highways are done. I just need to color those correctly. We could do that now, I guess, right? Let's make sure they're on the correct layer. Highways. So I'm going to click on this little target, this meatball, to select them all. And then I'm going to eyedropper this orange. Now, let me see if I bring that to the front, maybe I can eyedropper. No. Okay, so I do know I need to get, oh, I put away my swatches. Let me go get my swatches. I need to capture that orange. And I also need to capture that darker orange. Yeah. So with them selected, I'm going to change the fill to none, the stroke to the lighter orange. No, it's got to be that orange, doesn't it? Okay, let's capture that one. Okay, that looks good. I don't know why I didn't do this earlier. Okay, so no fill, and stroke is going to be that orange. Now, here's the thing that we want to do. We want to put a stroke right behind each one. So we'll do that in the appearance panel. Let me put that away. Window, appearance. Yeah, so here's the appearance panel. I'm going to try to make this fit. Okay, so all these selected, what we're going to do is add a stroke to it, and the stroke is going to be this orange. I think we had it, yeah, maybe 2.5 type thing. Nope, not 25, 2.5. And then we're going to add another stroke underneath it, and then instead of this orange, it's going to be this darker orange, and instead of 2, we'll do 3. And you can see what it did. It just made that darker bit behind it. Now, I'm going to just kind of keep that on the burner a minute because I have a feeling it's not going to turn out. Let's just kind of look around. No, it looks great. Yeah, it looks all okay. All right. Yeah, that was my concern. Okay, so now we have our highways done, and now we're going to do yellow streets. How many yellow streets do we need to do? Let's see. All the yellow streets. Darn. Okay, all the yellow streets. Well, here's some things we can keep in mind. is that they're on a grid. Okay, so we draw one and we duplicate it down. We draw another and we duplicate it across. And there's a few grids going on, but this is something that's easily handleable. So the way I'm going to approach this is, okay, yeah, I forgot this is kind of a bugger. I'm going to select Yellow Street, and instead of this gold, I'm going to probably select some kind of a bright green, so I can see them pretty easy. And not 3, maybe 1. So I'm going to go across first. So I'll go from here over to here. Now let's take a look at that, how we did. I think it might need to go up a little bit too, so it looks more, that looks more like what we need. Okay, so we have 2, and then we're just going to grab this and duplicate it down. Now what I'm doing is dragging, but I'm holding down Shift Option Command on a Mac, or Shift Alt Control on a PC. I'm dragging it down. I'm going to release my mouse first, and then the keys. Command D duplicates what I just did, or on a Mac, Control D on a PC duplicates that. So I'll do that again. And we'll do Turk. And we'll do Golden Gate. And we'll do Fell. And whatever is just south of Fell. And that's all the yellow streets in that direction. We're going to go up to see if, okay, so there's Broadway. There is Lombard. And Bay Street. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this Bay Street is adjust it using the direct selection tool. Okay. And yeah, some reason that, yeah, so here's the deal. This direct selection tool is the one that we need to shorten these. And I found if you don't use the you know, I just click on this end and drag it to where it ends. It kind of does snap to the point a little bit. Actually, it holds really nicely. I'm going to keep all these. So notice this one goes to about here, and then it kind of darts over that. A is the shortcut to get to that. Yeah. Yep, these are looking good. I might grab these two at the same time. Okay, great. So I'll have to do these two at the same time again. Okay, great. So that goes one direction. Now we'll do it the same thing, but another direction. here down to, this is 101 Van Ness, down to about here. And actually, let's see, let's take a little twist, and it is a little bit bigger than the other yellow streets. So I might just increase that to maybe 3. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to click on that. So we got those attributes, and then we'll go down Franklin to here. Okay. And then we'll go up, go to here. So you can do it that way, or you can drag him over. Let's see, do I have any more this way? Sure. Weber and Fillmore. And then here we have Hyde and Leavenworth and Kearney and Montgomery. And then for that matter, this Broadway. Okay, and then we do have to adjust these, obviously, right? So I'm having a hard time seeing my turquoise against all this in the background. So I'm going to change that to like brick red. Well, I'll tell you what, this is a chore to do this, but in the end, you'll have a pretty nice map of San Francisco, and you'll know it a little better than you did. So, a few bonuses. this is working out okay. Yeah, it's just a little bit of persistence. Getting this done. Can continue all the way down to there. 16th. Hope everyone's staying with me. My mouse is going goofy, I'm not sure. No idea what was going on there. Oops. Okay. Now we have all the yellow streets done. What we need to do is make sure we capture the yellow and then capture the outline color. So we're going to do that now. So what we'll do is use the eyedropper and grab that yellow. And in swatches, we're going to move that to, I'm going to put it down here just for organization a little bit. I know it's not terribly organized, but, and then now that that's selected, I'm going to grab that color. And I'll put that down. Whoops, I don't know what happened to that yellow. I know, it backed out, didn't it? Okay. And then there's our yellow. And then we'll drop that here. Okay. So here's our yellow streets. I'm gonna select all of them by doing that. And then we're going to choose a stroke of that bright yellow, and then we'll go into appearance, and here's that bright yellow, and I think it's maybe it's a point. I think it's 2 points. And then we'll put another stroke on it, and this one is going to be a little bit kind of a weird color, and we'll do 3 strokes on that, 3 points on that stroke. All right, so let's just turn on layers to see where we're at. Okay, so that's kind of where things are looking a little bit. It's okay. I think the highways generally are on top of that, so I'm just going to move that highway on top of the yellow right here. And then you can see now they're on top of it. I did miss that. It's probably locked, so to unlock it, I'm going to go Object, Unlock All, and select it. I for eyedropper, select that, and it'll fill back in. It'll get that. That's correct. Okay, so now we have white streets, and let's see how many. 10 to 20 white streets only. And then labeling the yellow. Okay, so that's easy. So we're just doing 10 to 20 white streets. That's a piece of cake, actually, now that we've done all those yellow. I'm going to hide, well, I'm going to hide everything, aren't I? Yeah, and we'll just work on the white streets. So 10 to 20, that's easy peasy, because goes to there, and my stroke is going to be, let's do blue so it shows up good, and then we'll get rid of the dashed line, then we'll zoom in just to make sure we're at the right size, and let's see what 2 looks like. Yeah, looks about right. So I'm just going to duplicate this 10 times. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I know we need to shorten or extend these, so I'm going to extend that to here. This one is going to go to that point. This one will go to here. And if we wanted, we could leave it there. This one will go to Embarcadero. This one will go to, don't know the name of that street. Go to here, and then turn the corner, and then go down to here. And if we wanted to, we can continue that all the way to that. Okay. This one will go to that point. So go to here, and then we could turn the corner and take it to here. This is going to end in this area somewhere. And then, you know, we could take this from here. Over, and then we'll go down to that point. Okay. Well, that is $10 to $20. You know what? Just for looks, I'm going to do a few cross ones, just because it's going to look a lot nicer with some cross streets. We have yellows. I'm going to put some more white cross streets into here. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting tired of this too. Okay, so now we have our white streets. I'm going to select them. I think they're selected. I'm going to change that to a green. Yeah, they're selected. And then we're going to change that stroke to white. Yeah, I know you're going, well, why do you even put a stroke on it if you're going to go put another stroke on it under here or redo the stroke, right? Two. And then we'll put another stroke on those. And this one is going to be actually kind of that kind of bone gray color. But to see it, yeah, that's okay. That's really, really, really close. Okay. Feeling good, feeling good. Okay. Last little bit is we're going to put some names on these, some labels. And this is actually a pretty easy part. So let's just start with Pine Street. I'm going to type in Pine Street. And I'm going to adjust it so it's the right size and angle. And I would say, yeah, we're pretty close to that. Okay, Pine Street. We want to do something similar to what we've done in the past, and that is using this. We want to put a stroke on it of that bright yellow. Oh, sorry. No, that's right. Let's change it, our fill to black. And then our fill needs to go on top. So we'll drag that on top here. And then the stroke is actually needs to increase a bit, maybe to 3, maybe to 2. 3 just seems a little better. And I'm not totally sold on regular. I think maybe it may need to go just a touch like pine. Maybe semi-bold. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so now that we have that, we can, this is California Street, so and we might want to adjust the size of that. So like a 9.5 maybe. Yeah, that looks much better. And then we'll change that original one as well. Pine to 9.5. Yep. Okay. And then if we duplicate that and then rotate it 90, here's Montgomery, Mtgomery Street, no dot. Okay, so now see how easy this is. Now that we have that angle set, then we can move this down here and HYDE, Hyde Street, and duplicate that, and this is Franklin Street, Franklin Street, and then this is Geary, GARYBLVD, and to Broadway. Okay, so I'm not sure, I can't remember how many, I think they just said 10 to 20 labeled yellow streets. So we're getting there, it's fine, it's just fine. It's Gary, I'm gonna do Turk Street, K Street, and Van Ness Ave. Okay, and this is Gough Street, Street, and this is Webster Street. Let's see, we could do Bush, and again, how I'm duplicating this is dragging it. So I'm holding down Command on a PC, on a Mac. No, yeah, Command on a Mac or Control on a PC to access my selection tool, dragging, but then adding the Option or Alt before I release. So this one is Bush Street. And let's just kind of add all these up here. Okay, it's looking pretty slick. Okay. Street. Lombard. And then if we wanted to here, we could do Beach Street, and we'll change that to white. Yeah, so go here. This is going to go to white. And to me, it looks a little big, so I'm just going to reduce that down. And maybe not use the semi-bold, maybe just use the regular. And I might do Chestnut Street. And then these areas, So what I want to do is to alter that rotation. Here's my rotation, it's under properties. I'm going to just change it to 0. And this is Telegraph Hill. And I'll center it. And it's obviously going to be a little bit bolder and bigger because it's an area, not just a road. Yeah, something like that. North Beach. Okay, and then we'll do Polk Gulch. Okay, so if we turn everything on, this is kind of where we sit. And I think that the whites go under the yellow, so we're going to move that, the whites underneath the yellow streets. Yeah. But yeah, this is it. And you're welcome to, I mean, you could put highway signs on here or whatever you like. I think I may have enough, or maybe I don't, but you know how to do it at this point. So then I'm going to file save as and make sure this is a PDF, I believe is what it's being asked for. The nice thing about PDFs in Adobe Illustrator is they act as though they're native. So that's nice. So we'll call this assignment 1A SF map demo. And this is fall 22. So, and that's what I'm going to submit into Canvas. Boy, that was a long demo, but there we have it. We're off and running up in Illustrator. Thanks, everyone.